Our society has countless images, ideas, and stereotypes about change agents, people who help an organization transform by improving business process and interpersonal interactions. Whether influencing fashion, business, art, entertainment, science, politics, or law, these change agents have and continue to positively impact today's society on so many levels. And today, we are proud to share the story of these business owners, coaches, innovators, and thought leaders from various industries who are eager to educate, inspire, and motivate you. This is Our Voices on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Welcome to Our Voices, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation. My name is Natasha Nurse. I'm the owner and co-founder of Dressing Room 8, co-host of Woke and Free, and the lifestyle editor of Plus Model magazine. And this show is focused on highlighting the amazing work of powerful change agents who have a great message to share with the world. And today I'm really excited to be speaking with Patricia Birch. She is an attorney, model, floral design enthusiast whose intention in all things is to empower and uplift the marginalized and deconstruct mental limitations. Her work as an attorney encompasses social services policy and employment and labor matters. As a model, Patricia's intention is to represent an alternative view of beauty and fashion that is body and fat positive. And as a result, she speaks to everyone she can about body and fat positivity. As a floral design enthusiast, she demonstrates to herself and others that following your creative passions is a worthwhile pursuit. Patricia hopes to provide an example to all she meets that we can truly live the life we dream of, even if the dream doesn't happen all at once. So without further ado, how are you, Patricia?
I'm really, really great. How are you, Natasha?
Living the dream, my dear.
Yes.
Absolutely. So thank you for coming on 90.3 WHPC, Our Voices. Yes. So let's talk. How did you become the woman you are today?
I became the woman I am today by being really committed to education. And not just education like the stuff that I got at school, although that was a big part of it, but learning about myself and how I fit into the world, and then being committed to learning about other people. All that education, all that learning, and being passionate about learning is just fed all kinds of pursuits, which I'm assuming we'll discuss. But yeah, that's what brings me here.
Absolutely. And so let's talk about the story. How did you get into modeling? This is definitely not something that everyone does. So what attracted you to it? And what type of modeling do you do? Who are some of the brands that you love?
So what attracted me to it was just the idea that I could do it at all. So take it back to when I was 16 and I went to my very first plus size fashion show. My mother's friend was in the show, and I just thought it'd be cool. You know, as a 16-year-old, I was into fashion even back then. Didn't see myself as anything like a model because there was very little to no representation of plus size in at least mainstream fashion. And so went to the show, saw my mama's friend, and it was fantastic. Went backstage to see her with my mom, and someone back there who I guess was working the show saw me and said, you know, if you were just a bit taller, I'm 5'3". If you were just a bit taller, you'd be great. And I was like, oh, I guess if I was taller, you know, it'd be great. And that was just my thought. But then it did, even though it was kind of like well, I guess you can't do it because you're too short. It did put something in my mind about, but what if I could? You know? So it wasn't something that I held onto as like, I'm going to do this one day. Still having that the idea of like you being a shorter person, and also being plus size. I've always been visibly fat. So, you know, and even back then it wasn't that much representation. My mom's friend was also visibly fat, but she was also taller. And so, you know, it just wasn't something I saw as a reality for me until I started to, let's bring it to 2015, came to try to learn and to love and accept my body as it is, as opposed to fighting with it, and fighting and trying to lose weight and trying to be a certain size that I just wasn't. And so in that pursuit, coming across brands and people who were talking about body positivity, fat positivity.
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning of 2016, one of the brands that I followed, called Smart Glamour,
Mm-hmm.
put up a post on Instagram asking for models, like a model submission, and made it very clear that they weren't looking for a model of particular of height or size. It's just anybody with a body. If you like our clothes, come through and try out. And so I tried out, and I got it. And then I worked my first show with Smart Glamour in February 2016, and I would say that was the start of my modeling career. Although even at the time, it just seemed to be a one-time thing that I do, because I still was not thinking of myself as a model.
Mm-hmm.
It was when someone suggested that I try something else, and I said, "Oh, I could do this more than once."
Gotcha.
So,
yeah.
So I would say then, so let's say 2016, early 2016 is when it really began.
Absolutely. I think, when I similar to you, right, have been visibly fat, plus size my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And people used to always say to me as well, "You're so beautiful. If only you lost weight, you could be a model." And it's really interesting how people impose their limitations on you, right? Because it's not everyone has to do one thing a certain way. Yes, mainstream might require certain things, but it doesn't mean you can't model if you are short, if you are, and so it's interesting that people's intentions are not like, you should model and just point blank period, right? Just find someone who you can model with, not tell you have to change your body. And it was, similar to you, right? I haven't necessarily maybe pursued it as much as say you have in walking fashion shows and stuff like that. But I would say that the modeling I've done as well has also helped with embracing your body and coming to terms with who you are and finding your look and finding kind of your vibe with yourself. And it's a very cathartic experience. So for anyone listening and they want to,
yeah. I'll just say cathartic and, talking about those limitations, because if you're in the world and people impose those limitations on you, you are going to accept them whether you are conscious of it or not. So modeling has definitely helped deconstruct that in so many ways. Like I think about, the idea that someone who is short and fat or hashtag petite plus, is a model, then, what does it mean for the other things that maybe I didn't see myself doing, but maybe I can do it, just thinking about what it is, living the life that you want to live as opposed to the life that people tell you that you're supposed to live.
Exactly. I love it.
Yeah.
And when it comes to body positivity, I mean, you mentioned kind of, I mentioned that you're an advocate for it. I'd love for you to explain a little bit for everyone listening. What does that mean? What does body positivity mean to you? And what are the ways that you're an activist in this space?
So to me, body positivity means full out accepting your body as is, right in the moment. Acceptance. Now, it doesn't mean that you necessarily are going to feel like you love your body or you love every aspect of your body. But when I think about what other things outside of myself that I'm positive about, it doesn't necessarily mean that I accept every single, or not use the word accept, that I love every single thing about that thing, but I will be accepting of it if I'm positive about it. So apply that concept of positivity to the body that I have, and by an extension, the space that I inhabit with this body.
Absolutely.
So that's my view of body positivity. And I say, I'm going to be clear about it being my view, because there may be someone who challenges that or says, "Oh no, you should love yourself and you should be happy about yourself," and all those things. And I'm very careful to not impose thoughts or ideas of how someone should think about or feel about themselves and their lives on other people. When you're talking about limitations, therein is a limitation too. Like, I think that you are allowed to feel like crap about your body if you want to feel like crap about your body, or you don't like this aspect of the body. Okay, you can feel that way, but accept that in the moment and in every other moment that your body is what it is. Done. I'm sorry.
Yep. You are listening to Our Voices on the Voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Natasha Nurse, and my guest today is Patricia Birch, attorney and model. Yes, so just to just to interject, I absolutely do agree with you. And I love that you prefaced it. But yes, everyone is entitled to their own definition of body positivity. And I love your definition. Now, do continue on with your next thought.
Yes. So just to state further, I'm an activist in the space just by being and being committed to the concept and living it out. Now, I also talk about it on social media. I try to talk to as many people as I can about it. So there's a lot of communication, and that's a way to be active. But just, even if I'm not talking about it, I'm definitely representing it even when I'm silent.
Mm-hmm.
So interesting. I just came back from Las Vegas and was just there for a weekend, my first time there, and it was fun. And on my first day there, walking up and down the strip with a green dress, beautiful green dress, that I felt mostly good in it. I actually was a little bit self-conscious because the lower cut dress and I think my bra was showing for a little bit. So I did have a thought about that as I walked around, but basically it was pretty comfortable. And I got a lot of reaction to this dress, and it wasn't a revealing dress or anything. It was a somewhat brightly colored dress, but in Vegas, most things are bright, so it's not like I stood out for that reason. But almost everywhere I went with this dress, someone was talking to me about it and telling me how much they loved it and telling me that I looked great in it and telling me that it was my color. And I love the color green. So, but I thought about it and I was like, though, if I wasn't in full acceptance of my now, including the reality that I think my bra was showing. And that's why I really loved that my bra was showing. I didn't want it to show, but it was. But I accepted it. It was like, okay, well, you know what? I'm out here with my friends, and I'm not gonna get caught up in the fact that my bra is likely showing. I'm gonna just accept the moment as it is, enjoy the time with my friends, and take in the strip. And I got, like I said, a lot, lot. And I thought about it today, and I'm thinking about, I know it's going to be coming to talk to you about body positivity. And I was like, yeah, I don't have to actually say a whole lot to be active.
Absolutely.
All I got to do is be. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, how I think of the definition is it's like on a local and then a public or personal and public space. I think on a personal space, being body positive is when your girlfriend's like, you know what, I look really awful today. It's that moment where you say, sister, you're beautiful, you're capable of everything, you're amazing. If you don't like what you are wearing, change it, but you're amazing, right? So try to empower each other. And then on a public level, I think kind of like what you were saying about not imposing on others. I think the nature of body positivity is about an ever expanding, ever branching definition community, and it's for all people and all genders and all races and all heights and all locations, right? There are no limitations to it. And so I think that to be in the space is literally to just empower people amongst that, in that definition, and just not saying, no, you can't be body positive or this can't. That is I think the antithesis of body positivity. But it's interesting to see how that the movement is being talked about. It's interesting to see how fitness and wellness and body positive converge, because that seems to be a little bit more problematic, I would say, in the sense of seeing people judge others for wanting to be more fit or whatever. So it's interesting. I think the movement has growth and growing pains to go through, as well as people just kind of opening their hearts and opening their minds, because I think the whole purpose and intention of this is to kind of be this loving space, right? And all I see a lot is a lot of constraints, and that is a little bit saddening.
It's a little sad, but as we said, given the diversity of viewpoints within, I guess you want to call it, the space, that, you're going to have some conflicting opinions. I was thinking about recently how Ashley Graham, I think, is the model who has said that she doesn't call herself plus size, or she doesn't like the term, So there's some tension around the term where some other people who are in the space, and I would be one of these people who am quite fine with the label plus size, but I have a problem with the stigma attached to it. So you can call me plus size if you want to, but don't feel sad for me because I'm plus size. That is the stigma is the issue, not so much the label. But that doesn't mean that